Hello, species value system. Hello, YouTube. Talking about a very serious subject. Simple. And how it's proved. Now you can discern from justifications of it too. Nature is incapable of defending their fact-treatment nature styles formally in us at the same time, as victim predators per method to this. For example, I was just watching a YouTube video about someone regarding letters left off the English language. Is the title of it, something like that. I'll put a link to it in this YouTube video in the description section, which is the same mistake everybody's making. It's because there was complex litigation. I don't know if that's a book called Complex Litigation, but there are statutes. Like when you read about American history in the phases, that was from a retreat that Ford was in relationship to, that no one's letting even messengers of modern religions weren't let have a quality of fact treatment nature to demonstrate criminally re-engineered value of sciences, fact treatment nature, quality and method, using the identity of that all things have shared, non-distinctly and distinctly simultaneously, specifically so it could be discerned, just like the value of the letters is discerned before semi-ancient criminal re-engineering of Campus Marcius, and to maintain defenses of that, which was a value that was revealed as a simultaneous nature, as value of individuals, of group, like areas and states, / sexes, and of the species bond at once. Those three bonds are bonded so we can see a trinity. Is an identity of value. In that each nature of its semi-nature of a volume, and there is no such thing as semi-nature. So we can see the value that completes it. There is either a complete nature of relationship to itself, its identity of value, progression perfect, or a negative relationship to it, as temporary positive, as three pluses, as an increasing nature of volume, as identity nature, positive or negative. Where and how. This is the hierarchy of identity is in what all things are in demonstration of at once, as all things at once, and as beyond that, so we could see it using science, discern it using science. What is distinctly and non-distinctly onto us. They would criminally re-engineer this, knew that they could maintain line progression natures and styles to spots, and they could exploit that and cultivate that, and from a base propagated to roles, interests, needs, and natures already invested, blaming the causes about other things, others, and ourselves, and that used to justify premises treatments forced by nature to hide lies, delusions, criminal foreign influences, victim predator reactions, natures, pseudo-positive natures, criminal and city system nature. Not Lord, not please form, not criminal. We're going to examine the recorded proofs that each branch of government in each each modern nation, how they are defended to ill evidence perception treatments. Jesus Christ He is the Alpha and He is the Omega. He's talking about the alphabet of English, for example, regarding statutes, the Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act, RICO. That's an organized crime statute. Get on my lawyer, not for my criminal. I'm saying. So before that, it was ACCA, Organized Crime Control Act. With the transition from ACCA to RICO, modern nations were their here nays. As positions, as quality of fact-sheet in nature, needing to blame on others, on other things and on themselves, the real causes of negative progression in areas with a lot of shootings, for example, which the identity of correlation demonstrates. For example, the predicate of English is simultaneously a value-nature relationship to the identity of all things that is positive onto it and as the value of itself, as a relationship to our nature, as a relationship to all parts of temporary / lasting space nature, simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly. As a nature of volumes relationship to itself, as an effects nature, the Trinity. And the Trinity in the process of diffusion, we'll examine, because the sciences share an identity. So simultaneously, while the predicate is positive identities, our nature's positive identity of positive relationship to itself, it has an identity of negative relationship to itself, which it demonstrates as well. When species bond, grouped / sexes bond, an individual bond is not simultaneous. Valued completely. And never forsaking exceptions of truth, because the identity of all things is not truth always. It is, however, a fact-sheet in nature always, and true as that, and as true as that, while being the exceptions to that. There are no exceptions. Is a fact-sheet in nature. Is a simultaneous nature. This is what the ancients reveal. And see, when we see a hierarchy of identity, these are not just words. We also see Maslow hierarchy of needs involved with criminally foreign influence branches, even up to treatments of Jim Crow laws. Treatments of, now in other words, look at this simple thing. What caused slavery? A crazy method of laws. Forced monitored database relationships to make sure no one, everyone's sensibilities invested nuts. Victim-predator reactions. All not capable of even understanding, not by accident, the real causes of all the negative value nature, progressions, acts, natures, sequence shifting styles. So it's a very simple question. Money didn't cause it. In other words, where and how that, the exception to that is not true, those motivations, nature's interests and needs were consciously engineered, propagated, juxtaposed with the breaching organized crime method that used human fact-sheeting in nature to hide behind. They use correlation sabotage. When Jesus says he is the Alpha and he is the Omega, he's talking about quality of fact-sheeting in nature. That is the identity that even the letters share at once. Simultaneously, distinctly, but also simultaneously non-distinctly. This is a nature of value nature transfer. that is three ways at once. As an affects nature, as a nature of volume that is inseparable from itself. It only gains volume as positive or negative, though. And to teach this, it's constantly in demonstration of the existence of an identity of value that is the cause to what is positive or negative. Convince something, but it's not going to work unless it's going to work by nature's identity of relationship to itself. And then it's further positive or negative. See, but they knew they were investing each modern nation, the investing semi-ancient nations, criminally foreign influenced, not from the source of one nation, to keep each nation private, juxtaposed with interbranch, only that realized through criminally, categorically, sequentially, individually together, grouped the sciences, criminally re-engineered, fact, treatment, nature, evidence, reception, convictions, premise treatments. So little kids can see and understand what an organized crime is, not an organized crime group. See, but we have what really is facilitating them originally and still, and furthering them, exploiting them, still doing it, but it's not for drugs. For example, they have those kind of motivations juxtaposed in. That's why they have fake news crime acts directed, influenced through Fox CT, involved with two Mendez brothers. Never had a class with. Only brief. What came into my middle school class confirmed confirmed communications with a DeMoro that were confessed and recorded him involved with crimes with doctors. Then as a kid, now them as adults, as police, interbranch recorded identity theft acts, pretending things recorded with a principal sex offender, with jail clerks involved further with private policing of the school on and off campuses. Off campuses maintained because the motivations for this go back. Because the only context they know me in were contexts they were offensively recording themselves, pretending not to realize other than actually are recorded, which is them criminally involved with what is using and keeping the branches of areas and states in criminally inclusion with other natures of crime methods that are completely fact treatment nature rackets, evidence reception rackets. So a predicate act is a negative relationship the identity of our nature has to itself, the actor of it. And that's in relationship to organized crimes, the discernment of predicate acts that are facilitated by criminal enterprises. Now, this is a criminal enterprise, archetypal criminal enterprise that criminally re-engineered Campus Marcias before Jesus Christ was even born, before modern religions. They're demonstrably greatly attached to this because they're attached to the identity, not the concept of God, but the identity of all things that science demonstrates. Prayer came from this, which is this is space method of maintaining each of the sciences, including the religions, the defenses of evidence, natures of evidence reception, even, because nature is value here. Because the conversation, they can't defend that in the religion formally, and then they're pretending that's in credibility and experts, and you're using that within as sensibilities, whereas everyone's lies and lie progression cover up nature, styles, premises, and treatments, criminal foreign influences, criminal influences, indifference, things like that, sequence shifts, not being allowed to demonstrate. People, because this is keeping originally and still all victim predator roles. So, and it's necessary to overcome it because it's completely a fact, human nature quality racket. That quality justified perpetually prevents us from countering what we can only discern through the lies of others, through the delusions of others. And whereas and how it's a sequence shifting racket method against each agent. In other words, they know that in every modern nation, no matter, every single modern nation has the obligation to discern what the ancients did before there was even crazy things like physical overt slavery. They discerned what slavery was in relationship to criminal enterprise, internation enterprises, which they had contained because there was no, they had the original identity. The original Campus Martius was led by the identity that causes evolution, that causes inventions to work. That, in other words, but this is with ground, not as negative. This is where ground is positive. This is where body of value discernment is positive, and where progression is value. But is discerned positive also going to be positive onto itself? This is where prayer came in from. It's a nature of correlation that is valued simultaneously with the predicate of English and with the predicate act of the law, which is negative relationship to our identity, causing criminal insidiousness nature, because nature has a nature of relationship to itself. And the predicate is always our correlation nature's positive relationship to itself. See, the word, the phrase, the subordinated clause, the independent clause, and the sentence, which we'll examine grammar as value as nature, but as identity to all parts of space nature, invisible but still discernible. If I say any word, you know what I'm talking about, because there's an invisible but still discernible value transfer. And that value transfer is further positive or negative in relationship to the identity of all things at once. Vaccines, call campus dumps. Campus Martius needs the name returned. Full train. Full lost and found. They may play a game. I don't know what they could call it. But the ancient gaming campus Martius, ancientgaming.com. YouTube channel. HTTP, YouTube channel, HTTP, what is it? YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. I tell you all, vaccines, I tell you things, for your souls. So what I'm trying to get at is you can't, when their evidence reception about what people agree on about the letters, there was influences in a crime method that knew then it was long term, so it was having those people invested to the defenses fake beliefs that they should use what looks like a lowercase f for S, for example, instead of having two S's. I'm not sure about that's regardless. In other words, this is about alpha and omega discernment. This is about the nature of English as value. and wherein how identity and value are the same thing at the same time. That's why we have identity, know it. That's why the identity of each cell shares an identity. That complete identity is further a simultaneous nature, relationship to the hierarchical of the identity of each organ it's a part of. And that complete identity is further a hierarchical relationship, the relationship to our hierarchical identity of our complete nature. And our complete nature is further a relationship to the hierarchical value of the species bond, of the individual bond, of the group sexes bond, or grouped areas, and or states, and together, the three, individual, grouped, and species bond. That's further bonded to the value of and as the identity of all things at once. And now see those. So this is value and identity at the same time, which is also not denying any exception what it is. So we don't have to agree about the name. Allah's name spelled in English is just to teach this, to reveal this with English, so everyone can discern it. We have the presence of value with our invisible but still discernible quality of fact, shape, and nature. Reactions to what is a quality of diffusion, an identity of value / value nature progression inside value's nature. So the sciences are inseparable, but they share an identity. So trying to say there's English, in other words, the science is revealed to be, in other words, the things that are inseparable are being separated consciously now, because they're already victim predator raised to precedence criminally foreign influence originally and still. So the simple answer, which is correct always, not denying any exceptions, not allowing that to be exploited. What caused slavery? Was a torture method, was a criminally foreign influence science method, pseudo care. This is a method that could do all this because it knew the relationship that states and areas have to, in other words, the original ancients, because there was not criminally foreign influence, internation persuasions, and influences over areas and state sciences. They couldn't believe that anyone would forget how to make evolution. We have the earth tactically denatured so no one could fathom it. So they could keep what they knew would cause negative value nature progressions. Lie progressions in that. Lie progression nature cover-up styles. So when I was a kid, never had a class with a person, people my age, they in other words, they had originally still all victim predators, all people from all areas and the branches. So these are fact, cheating in nature obligations to demonstrate the lies, the delusions, and the crime methods, stealing identities of branches, how they do it and get away with it perpetually, because that was just facilitated for them. And once they do that, they have to hide it. This is how we had their roles facilitated with the Trade Center attack. We have nations of shared policing and native agreements with all kinds of sanctions, or how expensive they are at the national level, and where opinion natures of states and areas in every nation are already invested. That's why we can't afford to come out of tactically denatured suburbs, let alone urban areas. sciences, and that force, not like demonstrated, wrought with physical illusions, that longs the guise of math. Without this is greater than math. The algorithm is the identity of nature's identity of relationship to itself as the perfect value progression. Everything it's an unceasing nature of volume. In volume relationship to our nature of volume's worth as forever nature coming through our bodies, our identity. Because in other words, there's the bond to matter. Once the bond to matter is gone, it's a forever nature. See, this is not debatable, but with lies, delusions, sequence shifts, and appreciation of mass, categorically manifest, maintain manifest, opinion natures needing to blame the real lies, the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts natures, sequence shit and stuff, justifications of that on other things, vaccines, natures. So now they need to appreciate and keep her correlation nature. Of course, prejudice is not even. It's to call that prejudice. So we'll examine.